Welcome to the Perfect Blend podcast.
My name is Sara.
And my name is Shenelle. We'll be serving you the perfect blend of beauty, skincare, overall wellness ideas, and discussion. We'll just sit back, relax, and talk shit about life, just like girlfriends should. Now let's get back to it. Tenika, how have you been, girl? I know I've been seeing you doing your thing. I'm so proud of you. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm so proud of you. I'm your number fan. I comment on everything.
You do. We show each other love. It's always been like that.
It has because we known each other for so long, and I'm like, man, just to see the growth and see how you progress, it's amazing, and I'm so happy for you.
Literally, I was telling Shenelle the other day, I was stalking your Instagram, and I was like, yo, I am obsessed, because for me, I feel like I really, really appreciate and I really admire and look up to people that have a really good base and brand on Instagram, right?
Thank you.
And I look at your stuff and I'm like, yo, does she pay someone to do this? Like, how has she done this? It looks
I wish
popping.
I need to pay somebody to do it. I'm tired. I'm tired. I need to expand.
Oh my God.
I appreciate it. It's all me. It's a lot.
I love it. It is so good. Honestly, I was extremely impressed, and I'm just so happy to have you on.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here. And I was telling Sara earlier, I watched the first episode. That was on YouTube. So you guys killed it. Way to go.
Thank you. Thank you. We're still trying to figure out our
format and stuff.
Exactly. So
it'll come.
Yeah, with time. And I'm as long as we have supporters and everyone keeps watching, I think we'll do good. We'll figure it out as we go,
Totally. And I feel I think it's also the flow of things. You know what I mean? Once me and Shenelle get into the flow of things, and we're I feel we have a really great dynamic in terms of we bounce off each other very well. We're very outgoing. We're both Leos. So holla at your Leos. And I feel because of that, when we started this podcast, I'm not sure if you know, Tenika, but pretty much we decided to start it in April, and then we started practicing and we started recording and all of that. But I felt we just didn't have the right groove. But now I feel because of Keisha, God bless her, because she sort of set us straight in terms of she was okay, let's plan this, girls, and let's, you know what I mean? And so
yeah, you need that.
I think it's also a group effort. You know what I mean? It's we all have to contribute. We all have to collaborate. We all have to be okay, what's the best route of action here?
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel right now we're on a good course. We recently had another guest too before you, and that one, I'm gonna say hands down, was our best episode yet. I'm so excited for this one. Well. Yeah, it did. It was so good. Yeah. And I'm very excited because I'm I feel now that we're in the groove of things, I feel we can really expand and just see what else is there, and just talk to other people. And I'm just really excited.
No, you guys will. And like I said, you guys have great chemistry. So it's going to work. It's going to flow natural, and it's going to be authentic. And that's big right now. So yeah. And there's a niche, this is a niche, right? There's a need for this in the market. You can watch 1,000,001 beauty tutorials, but to talk about it and everything, and bring other variables into the discussion, that's really great.
Exactly.
So, it's so true.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited. Yes. So we're gonna jump right on into it. Sara, if you'd like to start us out.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Tenika, for coming on. We are so appreciative, and we're so excited to have you here. This episode is going to be predominantly revolving around self-love and relationships, and pretty much just diving into that and seeing what other venues or what other options people have in this world that we're living in, just because we are living in a really technologically advanced world, and just we're really distracted by a lot of things. So we thought that it was really important for us to, even though it's Valentine's Day, to focus on self-love and how we can really love ourselves and focus on that. So
Sounds good.
without further ado, we'd love to introduce our special guest, Tenika, which some of you know is actually Miss Unattached and Unbothered on Instagram. And holla at your girl because she is so good at Instagram and you really want to know what she's doing at all times.
Thank you. Hey, y'all.
She has an amazing YouTube channel too. You guys got to check out her videos.
Yeah.
Yes. Subscribe. Unattached and Unbothered on YouTube.
Yes.
Yes.
So Tenika and I have known each other since 5th grade. We
Yep.
go way back.
Doing beer stupidness.
So for our listeners who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself, Tenika, and your brand.
For sure. So I'm Tenika. I run Unattached and Unbothered. I founded that back in 2018. It's pretty much a brand that aims to empower single millennial women to live their best lives and to love themselves fully, unconditionally, and unapologetically. I think it's very important. I started that at a time in my life when I was going through pretty much getting out of a situationship. I wouldn't even fully call it a breakup, but I was getting out of a situationship and I didn't really feel like there was like a lot of online support or like communities for single women. Like at the time I was seeing like relationship goals and couple goals and you're seeing like people matching their fucking sweaters. And that's cute and shit. Like relationships are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a hater, but I still wanted to see and feel like there was a space that I could like vent or like talk to or get support about being single and like newly single.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I think I am just going to jump all in and just share my single experiences and hopefully just create a community from that. So that's how Unattached and Unbothered started, with me just sharing like my dating escapades and like sex stories. And then now it's like grown into this big full-blown community where like all these other people are sharing stories or like just giving into the experience. And it's just beautiful and I love it. Yeah.
I think it's such a needed space. I feel like so many people like are ashamed to talk about certain things or they're very, they feel judged to talk about certain things. So I feel like it's a really, really necessary space, especially for women. And I'm just saying that just because I'm a woman. So.
No, it absolutely is, because also like, especially I'm 31 now, and you get into like that age and they're like, why are you single? Like it's it's a curse. Am I allowed to cuss in this? I don't even know.
Yes.
Okay. You're like fucking disease or something, like single, oh, stay away, like something's wrong with that person.
True.
And it's like, no, being single is like a glorious, beautiful time. It's a great time to figure out who you are, what you're doing, what you like, what you don't like, and then you'll be great for your next relationship. But like everybody always wants to treat it like this negative thing. It always has that negative connotation. And like there's a timeline associated with your singledom. Like, oh, you should be single in your 20s or you should be single like in your teens. But like, God forbid you're single in your 30s.
Right.
Like everybody treats you like, get married. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, where's your baby?
Right? Or like when you're having a baby, like
Exactly.
your biological clock is ticking and it's like, what? I don't want to have a kid right now.
Thank you.
Like I want to establish myself a little bit better before I even have that thought or come into that space. And what if I don't want to have kids? Why are you pressuring me? Like why are you projecting your feeling on me? Like,
and a lot of it is that projection, right? Like society is so conditioned to projecting, and you never know other people's struggles, especially when it comes to pregnancy. And I feel like there needs to be more of an education or like discussion around that so that people know like it's not okay to go up to women and ask them, when are you having a baby?
Oh my God,
it's not okay to go up to them and ask them why you're single. You don't know what their situation is. They could be widowed for all you know. Like just leave it alone. Like let people come to you and tell you the tea. Don't go like
you know what I really feel like, and it just came to my head, but and maybe I'm like exaggerating a little bit, but I really feel like people have this expectation of when you should get pregnant or when you should get married, for instance. And oftentimes it's like your family members, right?
Yep.
So, like, I feel like a lot of times women, they always put other people first. Do you know what I mean? Like they always say, oh, you know what? Like for instance, for myself, like I'm 27 and I've been with my boyfriend for 6 years now. And I always think, I'm like, what if like, God forbid, my parents pass, they won't even have the opportunity to have a grandchild. So I would be putting my needs second, but their needs first, in that they need a grandchild. Do you get what I'm saying?
I
Like,
know.
I feel like often women always put themselves secondary to their family members, to societal norms, to societal expectations. Like, it's extremely unnerving, because I don't feel like, and this is just a personal bias, but I feel like men don't have that.
No,
They don't have that expectation. They don't have that requirement. Oh, you have to have, children. I don't think they do.
No, they don't. That pressure is unfairly placed on women.
Mhm.
And they look at us like producers. Like, okay, you're not a productive member of society if you're a female that's not out here having kids. And that's unfair and very unjust. But I do think that the conversation is changing. I think there's like a lot of people that are becoming more vocal about that. And just like the day and age that we're in right now, there's like a lot of, what would you say, eyes on that type of stuff. So I think that the conversation is changing. It's just slowly changing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also changing because of just like sexual orientation, I would say, like in terms of like the openness with gender, with sexual orientation. Like 2 gay guys can have a child now. Anyone can have a child. 2 lesbians can have a child now. And it's like, it's absolutely okay. It's so okay. And I feel like with that change, with that progression, I feel like we are going on the right track in terms of openness, in terms of, forgiveness of people and what their choices are in their life. But I feel like
we're more welcoming.
It's a long road though, like it's a long road till we get to somewhere where everyone is happy,
Right. I also think that for women, they kind of put a clock on us or that pressure on us to have kids, because as you get older, it gets harder for you to have kids. So everyone's always like, oh, well, you only have a certain amount of time, or once you get to a certain age, it's not going to be as easy. Meanwhile, men can really have kids up until their deathbed, the day they die.
Seriously.
Still have kids. So I think, but there's so many things that we can do now. Like, people are freezing their eggs,
right?
That those are options for everyone, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I need to get pregnant or have a baby right now in order to fulfill that portion of my life. I can freeze my eggs and decide later on in life to have kids. So again, the conversation is changing because technology has advanced and is giving a lot more people more options.
And yay to technology. I'm here for it.
Me too.
And
we're going to get into that a little bit later. So Tenika, tell us a little bit about where you grew up. We kind of grew up in the same place. So just give us a little background about where, you're from. And
I'm from Malton. From Malton. And it's like a little, they call it a village. It's like a little part of Mississauga that's like near Toronto / like Rexdale area. It connects to pretty much everything though, because it's like near Brampton. It's near
right in the middle of everything. It's like
I see.
Mississauga's right there, Toronto's right there, Brampton's right there. It's literally right in the middle.
It's mad convenient. I feel like it was like I had a good upbringing. Like, I can't really complain. Like, I had everything I wanted. I didn't need or want for anything. My parents were really good that way. And we talked about a lot of things. So I think that's what allowed me to be really vocal, especially now. I know that like a lot of people kind of suffer with being opinionated or like they're unable to fully like express themselves, but my parents allowed me and always encouraged me to. So
what's your ethnic background, if you don't mind me asking?
Jamaican.
Okay, awesome.
Island.
That's really nice, considering like I feel like a lot of Caribbean people, like Colombians included, because I'm Colombian, I feel like they're really judgmental. I feel like they can be like, oh, really? You have this thing? So I feel like that's really lucky for you that you had that opportunity, that like your parents were so open to talk and like were really open in dialogue. That's awesome. That's really, really
no, they're definitely very liberal, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's great.
So I know for the most part we had the same, like we went to the same schools and everything, but in terms of college, like what was your goal or your dreams, like your aspirations in terms of where you thought you would be at this point in your life and what you did in school and how that kind of brought you to where you are now?
For sure. So when I was younger, I always loved writing. I always loved storytelling. Like, that was a passion of mine. And then when I got to school, I was really good at writing, like in high school. And I did like a lot of like writing, essay, like competition, poetry competitions, that type of stuff. And so I was like, well, what can I do with writing that's really going to pay the bills? And unfortunately, like these guidance counselors and stuff, they don't really know the variety of jobs out there. So I remember the guidance counselor was like, oh, you can get into like communications or like public relations, like that's like corporate stuff. It's going to pay really well. Like being an author, you're going to struggle and da 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 da, right? So like there's that like tendency within schools to like kill that kind of creative dream. Anyways, so I went to school for communications at Carleton in Ottawa, and I did my undergrad at. Did you go to Carleton?
I went 1 year.
Oh,
Hello,
Ottawa. So I did that. I did all 4 years there, and then in my last year, though, I could have minored in sexuality studies. I was just 1 credit short. And that was like, I was really interested in that because all throughout my undergrad, I did like human rights like classes and like sexuality study classes. And then they're like, oh, did you think about minoring in it? And I'm like, I wish you guys had told me sooner because I'm not going to come back to Ottawa for a semester just for 1 credit. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I've been wanting to be gone. So I didn't minor in it. And I kind of wish I had now because it's such like a focal point of my discussions and my brand. But it's all good. I still like really took away a lot from that. And then I went back to school 2014 for marketing management. I was working at the bank. I literally felt like I was gonna die. I hated that job. And I was like, let me go and like do a post-grad in something that I'm like somewhat passionate about. So yeah, that's like my educational background. And then now I do corporate communications full-time.
That's so awesome.
That is cool. Do you see yourself going back to school to like become like a sexologist or something like that? Because I can see that for you.
Yeah, so you don't have to necessarily go back to school like in terms of university, but they have online courses and like different types of workshops and even like coaching classes that you can take. So I've been looking into that. So I'm definitely going to do that in the near future and have that under my belt as well because it is something that I'm really super passionate about. And then I want to do like more of my blog posts surrounding that. So at least I'll have that credential to really support the advice and information that I'm giving. Because right now it's primarily like experience-based or like Google research-based, which, you know, Google has all the answers. You can become a full scholar through Google, let me tell you. But sometimes people like be looking at you like, so what do you have to support this? And so, yeah.
Exactly.
That's so cool. I would, if I were you, Tenika, I would definitely reach out to like some magazines, like some like sex magazines or something like that. Cause you never know, like just putting yourself out there, you never know. They might be like, you know, I love what you wrote here. Can I add it to this month's edition or whatever? You never know, right?
Yes.
Like, I would say definitely try that. Cause I would read it. I'm sure many people would read it.
I mean, you already know I'm down. I'm your number one supporter girl. So
I appreciate it. No, that's great advice. I'm definitely on that same wavelength. I'm like, yeah, like let me, because like I started my website, when did I launch that? August. And like I started with blog posts. I was so consistent, but then work just got so crazy and it kind of fell off. And like that's something I definitely have to prioritize in 2021 is just like making sure that I have things like in the hopper way in advance. Like maybe I write like 20 blog posts over like the course of a month and just like have it ready to go so that I'm never in a place of lack because now it just looks stupid. It's like, yeah, the blog is there, but there's no posts on the blog. So it's like, I need to like just be consistent with that. So yeah, something I could admit.
Totally. I feel like the podcast that we did with Miranda, Shenelle, it would really help Tenika in terms of like what social media aspects, like, because we did it based on PR and marketing and like social media content and all of that. So like, I think that would be really cool, but I completely agree. I'm in that same boat right now. Like, I feel like I have a little bit of content like that I can post, but I feel like I really need to like up it up and just be like, okay, I need to have like a whole reservoir of things to post. You know what I mean? Like,
it's so important. And I was so good at it before, but then shit just got crazy and I was like, okay, like,
it's hard to gauge it, right? Like, it's hard to gauge when like, oh, things are like slow now, and then things all of a sudden can like pick up like crazy. So it's it's very interesting. Yeah.
And like I got like a whole bunch of brand partnerships recently, which came out of nowhere. So then I was just like, okay, I got to make sure that I'm meeting like the clients, like their deadline. And then I have like my other stuff going on. So I'm like, oh shit, like what do I and it's like only me. So that's what I was saying earlier. Like, I need an assistant, or like an intern or something, because it would definitely take some of that weight off of me.
Let's just say congratulations. If you have a drink, let's
drink water. Yeah, I have my water. Yeah. Cheers.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Tenika. Honestly, like when I got my first brand, like I guess collaboration, I was so over the moon, and just having that energy, trust me, more and more will come. I promise.
Exactly. You build off of the momentum, right? And then it's just nice having those relationships, because in the future you never know. So
it's so true. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. Me too. Like, that's so good to hear. Like, your hard work has paid off, and I love to see that.
Me too.
Love to see it.
Yes. So we're gonna get into the self-love portion of the show today. Okay. So we have a couple of questions for you in terms of self-love, because you're such an advocate for self-love and putting yourself first. So when was it that you realized that you needed to nurture yourself in order to foster a better future, as well as a better sense of well-being for yourself?
I think that's a really great question. I think I always kind of knew that, just I wasn't really mindful of it, right? Like throughout life, I'd always do things for myself and like make the time for myself. But I think what really put it at the forefront for me was like going through like my big breakup, and then coming out of that situationship that like sparked Unattached. Just because like I was in a deficit. Like I was just like not taking care of myself. I was being super mean to myself, beating myself up. Like I should know better. Like, you know, a lot of things you tell yourself when you get out of relationships. And I think at that time I really made self-love and self-care a priority. That's when I actually started therapy even back in 2018. I went to see a therapist for the first time, because I felt like there were a lot of issues and just like things that I needed to unpack. So I reached out to a therapist and like really started that healing process. And then with that came like, okay, like I was pouring a lot into work during the breakup, just to like not really have my mind thinking about it. Like that's unhealthy. Like, let me take time for myself. That's when I started doing my solo trips and like, just like really spending time and being happy in my aloneness. Because again, like I'm from that mindset that like, oh, being alone is bad. And it really wasn't. Like being alone, you can really have a great time being alone. And that is part of your self-care, is just having that time for yourself, really pouring into yourself, getting to know yourself, leaning into yourself, and really loving up on you. So that was really the catalyst.
I love that. I love that answer. I have I have a question to like pretty much piggyback on what you just said, but I'm really curious as to what is one thing that you would say that has helped you be alone? Because for me, I feel like my personality, at least, like I'm very much like, I love being around people, that it really like warms my heart, and I just feel really happy when I'm with people, you know what I mean? So when I'm alone, don't get me wrong, I'm an only child on my mom's side, so I can be alone, but I don't like it. It's not my preference. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's any one thing that you took from like maybe even therapy or like your solo trips. What's one thing that you would say to help people be alone?
I think it's just really getting comfortable with the silence. So like for me, one thing, because again, I grew up an only child too, and like often here I'm alone. So like I had a lot of time to just be by myself. And at first it was uncomfortable. Like you have that urge, you want to call your friends, you want to talk to your family, like, hey, let's link, let's go somewhere. And that's kind of escapism in a sense, because like you're not really just taking the time to be alone. So just get comfortable with being alone, like that stillness, that silence. I would just sit at home some days, read a book, just find different things that I can do by myself at home, so that I'm not like forced to, like, if I even go out to dinner, like that was something I was doing a lot of too, just going to dinner by myself. But then I find myself making friends because I'm a friendly person, and then I'm not by myself anymore. So just different things I can do around the house by myself that I enjoy. I find that really helps you in being alone, whether that's cooking, whether that's cleaning, making drinks for yourself even. Like I was doing it all, just leaning more into those things that are like hobbies for myself. Like, if you have a hobby, just do more of that. You'll really enjoy it. And then you start to like think like, okay, like this hobby of mine is so much fun. Like what else can I do off of this hobby? Like, can I turn this hobby into a passion? Can I make money off of this? And then it just works into different, like you go down to different avenues. But
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's such great advice, honestly.
It is, because I feel like a lot of times people are scared to be alone. They're like, the thought of being alone, like in a relationship, or sorry, not in a relationship, or being alone without a relationship is hard for people to fathom. And it kind of leads down kind of like a dark path for a lot of people, just because they're not used to that. Like, being alone by yourself in a room is different from being alone, like not being in a relationship and being kind of separate from other people. So I think, you know, as what you were saying, you know, realizing and kind of getting comfortable with that aloneness is key to,
it's essential.
And
like, it's gonna feel awkward and uncomfortable at first. Like, trust me, there'd be days and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so bored. Like, I want to go see my friends. Like, what am I doing here on the couch? But then I was just like, you know what? This is actually kind of cool. Like, I don't have anybody demanding anything of me.
True.
I don't have any expectations of my time. Like, I can do what I want right now, how I want to, when I want to. Like, it just is fun. And so, like, I think you just have to find the fun in being alone, whatever that fun is for you.
So I love that.
I was saying about like the hobbies, like maybe it's reading, maybe it's watching movies, maybe you do want maybe you do want to binge a Netflix show. That you can do, like, and that's alone. Like, you're not doing that with anybody else. And just also, like, I found which really helped me a lot as well was like creating self-love rituals. So like, okay, like tonight, like Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I'm gonna journal. I'm gonna light some candles for myself, maybe some incense, pour a glass of wine. Like, that's gonna be like my 10-minute alone time. Nobody interrupt me, nobody bother me. And that's like, if all shit hits the fan that day and I didn't do anything else for myself, at least I did that. So like, whatever your self-love ritual is, like, create that for yourself and just like really nurture that and tap into it.
I love that. I feel like not enough people do that. I feel like sometimes I even get in that space where I'm just like on the go. Let's just keep going. And it's like, I forget, like I have to take care of myself. Like, I can't, like, the gas is on empty, girl. Like, we can't go no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think it's because of the society that we live in, right? Like, we're always on the go. We're always like hustle. That's the mentality, right? It's like, oh, let's hustle. Let's freaking do it. Like, and a lot of times we feel invincible because we're like, oh, like, Beyonce's doing it. Why can't I do it?
Right.
Exactly. It's like, no, probably Beyonce has 50 employees that are helping her with her day, right?
Exactly.
But that's why you always have to think, and especially Tenika, you were saying you're a one-woman show. You know what I'm saying? You do everything yourself. So you need to take care of yourself in order for you to keep going. And I feel like often we forget that. We really do.
And burnout is so easy, right? Like, I will be the first to say I've burned out many times during this journey. And it's like, nobody really talks about those things, but they happen. And it's like, that's because you're not listening to yourself. You're not listening to your body. You're not listening to that inner person within you telling you like, okay, take a break. Maybe go to bed now. Like, stop working on what you're working on. And like, even for me, when was that? September, I had my birthday. I like took a whole 2 weeks to myself because I had like time off of work. And I was just like, okay, if I had time off of work and I haven't had time all this year for like a break, I can't go on vacation. I'm just going to take 2 weeks, no social media, no nothing. I'm not producing. I am just being. And like, that's important to me. I do meditation. Like, I meditate often. So that's like being in the moment, being still, like just being present and having that time for myself was important. So I just prioritized that. And I just did a lot of meditation over those 2 weeks.
That's amazing. Yeah. Can I ask what meditation you do?
Yeah, I just do like regular, like standard meditation. I use the Calm app. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I guess it's called guided meditation.
Right.
Yeah. Because I haven't got to like a point where I can just like sit and just be alone without the guided meditation for like, I think one of my friends did like a meditation retreat. She was meditating for like 4 hours. And that's not something I can do like without anybody talking. So like, I like the Calm app because you do get that.
Yeah.
They guide you, you get your breathing cues, all the type of stuff. And that helps me.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. I actually really appreciate like meditation and like just like self-reflection, I would say. Like me and my boyfriend Mark, we went on a retreat a couple of years ago for transcendental meditation. So it's pretty much like you have like a mantra, which is like a word that you keep saying and you keep going, and you take like 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night. And it's so remarkable, like the things that you can do. to be honest, I've been slacking, I won't lie.
You got
but,
busy.
but it's really good in terms of like grounding yourself, making you more self-aware of like what you're feeling, maybe even your aspirations, what you want to do in the future. Like all of these things, they come in your mind.
Yeah.
And because you're silent, you're able to actually process it and really take in what you're thinking. Do you know what I'm saying? So like
you're more in tune with yourself.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people need to do it. Like I want to get to a place where like I'm not using the guided meditation.
Right.
But like even for what it is, it's helped me so much this past year that I'm just like, like this is amazing.
That's
just
wonderful.
Having that moment for clarity.
Yeah. I love that.
I love that. Like I definitely want to go on those retreats. Like, one day.
Me too.
One
because
day.
I always try to meditate, but I always feel like my brain is always like on it. Like I can't shut it off for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. So I'm working on it, figuring that out and what the cause of that is and why I do that.
Right.
But I do want to meditate.
And they're having a show that they're actually releasing on Netflix from Headspace. Headspace is like an app.
I love Headspace.
It's like a guide to meditation or how to meditate, something like that. So that might be good for you to know.
That might work. I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna add that to my list.
I would say just one thing that I could even say as advice for anyone that is trying to meditate, like especially you, Shenelle, if you feel like your brain is like so busy, the one thing that really brings me back to like being in the state of like chill and just like relaxing is the mantra. So just having like one word that you're just like continuously saying, that way your brain is like, I don't even have time to think. I don't have time to think about everything else because I'm literally just focusing on this one word and creating that peace for myself. So that would be my one piece of advice for anyone that's trying to meditate. Have one word that you think of and just keep repeating it until you're not thinking anything. And just
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even the counting too. I don't know if when you first started meditating, like counting your breaths. So like,
oh no, I didn't do that.
So that's another one that helps a lot too. So like in your head, you'd be like, that's one. And like, you're like, going back, maybe at least do that to like 10 and then you like reset. And it's like, you're not really thinking of the counting so much, but you're like being mindful of your breath, right?
Right.
That's also something that could really help too.
I want to ask, have you, Tenika, have you heard of Wim Hof?
No.
Okay. Have you, Shenelle?
No, I haven't.
Okay, guys, this is going to be like a game changer.
What is it?
Okay, so what this is, so Wim Hof method is pretty much this guy that's from like, I think like Sweden or somewhere there, right? Somewhere Norwegian, something. And he actually has gone out into the cold, like I'm not joking, like Antarctic, like Arctic weather, like in shorts, in just shorts. And he's like, all he does is breathing techniques. And
in the cold?
I swear to God.
How long?
So he does it for like, you can do, like, it's a practice. So you have like 3 phases of it. And each time you like, literally what you were doing, Tenika, you go,
yeah.
And that's it. And then pretty much you hold your breath and then you continue, you keep going. And the results of this are remarkable. Like when I tell you, people have been cured of like certain diseases. They're just like well-being has been exponentially better because of this. Like after this podcast, you guys have to look into it because
I was about to say, I'm like, can you please like send me the spelling of this? Because I'm like,
I'm gonna try it. I'm
really good.
Gonna go outside in shorts though.
Absolutely not.
I'll try it. Maybe
no, me neither.
Maybe a little parka or something.
Yeah. But he's remarkable.
Wow.
Yeah.
I definitely believe that though, because it has healing properties.
It does. Yeah. And he he's been doing it since like the 70s, to be honest. So he's been doing it for a long time, and I recommend anyone to do it. It's my boyfriend has been doing the meditation and then doing the Wim Hof method. So he's like all about his self-improvement. Like
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah. So I mean, that's one thing I would recommend to anyone that wants to do it. Definitely Wim Hof theory.
Wim Hof.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Tenika, I remember a little while ago you were talking a lot about being celibate. And I wanted to know like your journey with celibacy and what made you decide to become celibate, and if you gave yourself a timeline for how long you would be celibate, or what, you know, kind of sparked it?
Yeah. So celibacy was like not really by choice so much at first. It was more like I got out of that situationship, and I was just like, yeah, like I was so turned off by men, and I was just like, I don't feel like having sex with anybody, so I'm just not gonna have sex with anybody. And then I was celibate for like almost 8 months.
Wow.
And then I was just like, yeah, like no. The opportunity presented itself. And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do this. Like, I don't care. I'm having sex with this guy, and I did. And I don't regret it. And then like I went back to like being celibate again for a bit. Like I just always have those like moments. I feel like if I'm not, I'm somebody I need to really be emotionally invested and need to have sex.
Right.
So like even with that experience, I wasn't emotionally invested. Like the sex was good, but it was just like, like it was. I needed more.
Yeah.
So I know me. If I'm not emotionally invested, there's just no point. Like I tried to have like a whole phase, and like that just like didn't go.
I know. Everybody's always like, "Oh, you need to have a whole phase," and I'm like, "But
I catch feelings.
I can't." Like, you know, like
yeah.
I was celibate for, well, again, same situation. Like I just didn't want to, and it was for a couple of years actually, like almost 3 years, because I just was not interested in anything, in anyone. Like nobody interested me in that way. So that's why I was like, I was interested. I was kind of intrigued. Like, did you decide, or like, did you just kind of stumble upon it like myself? And
yeah, no, I decided, because I was like, I'm not giving my body to anybody. Like, I don't want to have sex with anybody. Like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And then I was just like, also, nobody deserves it. Nobody deserves my sex.
Right.
I was really like cognizant of that. I'm like, this is some bomb ass pussy, and these guys are getting like a fucking discount here. Like, no,
right?
you're not getting it.
No real work or nothing. They're just
you don't deserve it. So I took it back.
Totally.
I took it back, and then I started to get really like heavily interested in sex toys, and it's just been like me and sex toys a lot of the way. Like I've had like little like friends, like sex buddies, I guess you'd say, friends of benefits here and there, but overall it was just like, no, I needed something deeper.
Right.
Yeah.
So that brings me to my next question. In your vlogs, you talk a lot about the sex toys and incorporating them into the bedroom. So like, what's your favorite toy, girl? Like, you know, few, and I'm looking for some recommendations. So
my favorite toy, so like for the longest, for years and years and years, it was a We Vibes Tango. It's like a little magic bullet. Like it's probably about the size of my finger, like that.
Okay.
And it's just like really smooth, nice, body safe silicone, different vibration speeds, and it's like you just simply put it on your clit and it just vibrates away, and you like get back-to-back orgasms. But then I think it was like 2017, might have been 2017, I was introduced to the Satisfier, and that shit changed my fucking life. Like, if I could marry the fucking Satisfier, I'd marry the Satisfier. Like, that's how good that shit is. I would put a ring on it. So pretty much it uses airwave technology. So think about like almost like a vacuum. I know it's kind of a bad like analogy because people like guys putting their dicks in vacuums, but it's kind of to that same effect. So it uses like that kind of suction technology to like stimulate your clit. And then like that pulsing and that airwave technology over your clitoris is like providing like that type of sensation to allow you to have back-to-back orgasms. So if you're somebody that like doesn't really orgasm from G-spot stimulation, you would definitely orgasm from that device on your clit, from that clitoral stimulation. That is hands down favorite. Then Womanizer has the Duo, which is like taking that Satisfier toy up a notch. So you have with that, you have the airwave technology. So you have the clitoral stimulator like on it, and then you have like a shaft. So like almost I think like dildo type. So it's 2-in-1 type of toy. So you have that, and that's penetrating you, and that's like stimulating your G-spot. So you're getting both the G-spot sensation as well as the clitoris stimulation.
That sounds like something. I don't even know who invented this. Like,
they're out of this world with toys right now. No, whoever's doing these toys these days have like stepped it up.
I know. It's like, who put the thought into
let's
use airwave technology.
Right.
You know? But
that's some advancements over here.
Yeah.
I love that the like sex toys are kind of geared more towards women, just because it's been such a long time where women's needs haven't been met at all in sexual relationships, you know, because men kind of just, you know, they get their nut and then they go to sleep, you know. So I love
I
that.
have that, which sometimes for some people it competes in the relationship, which is unfortunate because some men are just really insecure about that type of stuff. But there's conversations that you can have and just like ways to incorporate it into your routine if you are in a relationship. But yeah, for my single life, like it's been hands down amazing. Like my toys got a spot beside me in my bed. That's their side. Like I'm in love.
It's like,
That's great.
Like the toys, this is where the toys reside.
They gonna be here. They ain't going nowhere. You gotta get mad comfortable with these toys gonna be in my life.
You better figure it out.
You got to.
To piggyback off my question, how would you approach introducing this into the bedroom with your partner?
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah, because you know, a lot of guys get kind of insecure and turned off and feel kind of overwhelmed by the toys because I feel like they think they don't match up.
Yep, they do. And
good way to, you know.
And that's small dick energy. Like you should really be feeling like you gotta go on, bro. Like you should not be here sad about this toy. But yes, in terms of introducing it, there are ways. I definitely recommend to people all the time going shopping together. That's a really good way of doing it. So like obviously you're not just like, okay, you're at the store and like today, like, oh, like let's go to get toys. Like maybe you want to massage it a bit. So like, hey, you know, I love our sex. Like I always find that giving positive reinforcement when you start a conversation, especially with your partner, helps the conversation go a little better. It's not like saying like the dick is trash. Like you're like, okay, like I love our sex is amazing, but I would like to take it up a notch, like try new things. Like there's just like little buzzwords you can use to make it like softer on their ego, especially if they are somebody that's sensitive towards that type of stuff. So like, yeah, like you can say things like that. And then like, hey, I was thinking, why don't we go shopping together? It's COVID, you can just go online now. So like you guys are probably watching porn anyways. So just pull out your laptop and like, let's just do some like online shopping for toys. Like I heard that this was really good. If there's somebody that like needs to see evidence, you can always pull up a link. There's so many links like on YouTube for reviews and stuff that you can share with them and like let them see like, hey, like this is how the toy looks. It's not intrusive. It's not gonna take away from your shine, but this is what this YouTube reviewer or whoever was saying will help them with like this and this. So like this is a couple's toy. Let's try that. And like this is what they've rated as like top 10. Which one of these do you like? And then going from there so that they feel like they have a say in the conversation and like they're included. That's a big part of like why a lot of people have problems when they're introducing toys into the bedroom because their partner doesn't feel included. They just feel like you went out, got this damn toy, and now it's like, I'm not good enough, where it's not that at all, right? So if you have that type of like intro and then like do it together and like you guys are both having fun and like you're reinforcing like his needs and like reinforcing his ideas, maybe he's giving suggestions too. It just makes for a better experience.
Right.
I love that. I just want to like also mention like it could be for both of you. Like you can have one and then he can have one too. Like in terms of like, let's like, you should make it like let's spoil ourselves. Let's do something cool so that like it's new, like to the relationship or like, let's do something fun for each other. Like like, I think it's important to create that excitement. You know what I mean? Like just be excited about like, oh, like, yeah, of course we're in a relationship and of course I love you. And of course, like, I'm satisfied, you know what I mean? But it's like, we can step it up. Like we can do something fun. Let's do something different, you know?
Exactly. It's like fulfilling a fantasy almost, right?
Yes, exactly.
Like, if you frame it like that and you frame it like it's just another way to add some spice or dimension to life, then it just makes it better as opposed to like looking at it as a replacement. It's not
exactly. I think that's the key over here. Yeah.
A lot of, like, obviously when you're in a long-term relationship, things kind of get not stale.
They can get stale.
Doing the same things every time. Right. You know what I mean? So I think the introducing toys or being able to or feeling comfortable enough to talk about like what you like and what you don't like, what you want them to do more of, what you want them to stop doing. Like, I think those are really good conversations to have, especially if you guys have been in a long-term relationship and, you know, things are kind of getting stagnant, you know?
Yeah.
There's no
It's important.
anymore.
And I think, like, just in general, like, people don't talk about sex enough with each other, like, with the people that they're having sex with. So, like, if you're not talking about sex with the people you're having sex with, like, how are they going to know what you like, what you don't like, what can need improving? Like, that needs to be a discussion, whether you're in a relationship with that person or not. Just, like, at least talk about it. And maybe it's not the best time to talk about it while you're having sex. So, like, beforehand.
Can you imagine? That'd be such a surprise. Like,
you'd be surprised though. Like, some people, like, they, like, that's their breaking point. Like, they're like, and then they're like, oh my god, you're not hitting it right. Like, fuck, like, da, 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 da. And then it's like an argument, and like, now you just ruined your session. You ruined their session. Like, timing. I know.
That should be a discussion for maybe after, like,
right?
You know, like I don't like when you did that. Like,
yeah,
that's true.
Maybe let's do this. You know,
exactly.
Like, or like show them what you like. You know,
yes,
that's not a bad thing either. Because most people get off watching other people, so why not show them? You know.
Exactly. And that's something I strongly encourage too. Like, if you like something, like, show the person, like, show and tell. Like, show and tell is amazing. It's a great way for people to learn, because, like, you could verbally tell somebody something. Some people just don't get it, but if you show them, if you demonstrate it, they might pick it up better. Especially, and then you get a better experience.
Exactly. Especially if they've been doing whatever it is the way they do it to you for so many years and no one said anything to them. They're not going to understand, like, oh, maybe I should, okay, like, I don't understand how she or he is saying to do this differently, because, like, what other way is there to do it? I've been doing it this way and everybody's liking it so far. Like, why don't you like it? Like, you know?
Exactly. And then that can create resentment too, right? Because then now you're holding your tongue for so long, and then when you finally do bring it up, it's like, I didn't know you felt that way. Like, why didn't you tell me sooner?
Exactly.
And then there's more issues.
I was about to say, actually, Tenika, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I was like, it's better to tell them ASAP, like right away, because months down the line, years down the line, they're going to be like, so you were telling me you didn't like it this whole time, like, you know? And it's like a little bit like sus, right? I would be like,
yeah.
Right?
So I had somebody call me out on that before. Like, I took a little too long to tell them, like, it was whack. And then they're like, so, like, were you faking the orgasms this whole time?
Oh,
yeah, but now you know.
Yes.
And I learned from that. I was like, that's not good. Like, I did not feel good about that.
Yeah, because it's not like you're coming from like a bad place. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just trying to be like constructive criticism. Like, I didn't like that so much. Like, maybe we could try something else. Like, and there's always a positive way to say these things, right? Like, it's not always like you ain't shit in the bed. Like, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you don't want to put them down.
Right. And it's like, we can uplift each other. We can say, like, you know what, like, actually I really liked that, but maybe we shouldn't do this. And it's like just a way to say it. And I feel like afterwards they're probably going to be, both of you are going to probably be that much happier, and you're going to be like, wow, you know what, I'm so glad that we got to this agreement, we got to this understanding, because now I feel really great and you feel really great, and it's like we are both
great
and feeling awesome.
Now, for example, I know exactly, and now I know that I'm satisfying you,
right?
Making sure that you're enjoying it just as much as I am.
Exactly.
You know? So,
and I don't really know too many people that don't want to be like making sure that their person is like satisfied. Like, I don't, like, you'd have to be a real dirtbag to be like, I don't give a fuck how this person feels. Like, if you're in a relationship with that person, so like, or if you care about that person's needs at all. Right. So like, I feel like you conveying that will allow them to be like, okay, like, I want to like work towards this. Like, this is a goal. This is a challenge now. Like, let me like rise to the occasion. And that'll just make the sex so much better.
Exactly.
Totally.
So.
Hey gorgeous, thanks so much for continuing to listen. We hope you've had a great time so far. Please don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button so that you can get your perfect blend each and every week. Hit us up on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you get your dose of podcasts. Now let's get back to it.
think we have some time for a game.
Ooh.
I know you're a little familiar with this game because you follow them too. It's Combo and Chill.
Yes. I love this game.
So I got it a couple of days ago, and I was like, oh, this will be perfect for the Valentine's Day special. Like,
yes,
because it's such a good conversation. And I already picked a couple of cards, about 7. So I'm gonna ask the questions, and we're gonna have like some open dialogue about it.
I love this. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so first question: would you date someone who dated your friend?
No.
No.
It's not for me. I don't like the mess. Like, I'm somebody, I don't care if you date my ex, like I could care less because they're my ex for a reason.
Right.
But you have some people, like, it would get messy and it just get complicated.
Yes.
And no.
Wait, sorry, go ahead, Shenelle.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, once you dated my friend, I'm not interested. Like,
yeah,
it's just like the appeal is gone for me. Even if you are a good-looking person or you have a great personality, it just like you've changed into something else now. Like, you're, I don't know. I've just never been attracted to any of my friends' exes. Like,
no, neither have I in my life.
Weird, right? Like, never in my life have I been like, oh, I want to date you after, or I'm gonna sleep with you while you're with my friend. Like, no. None of what you got is what I want.
I don't like the mess. But like, I've known people that have talked to like people I've talked to before, and I was just like, yeah, like, do your thing. Like, I don't care. But they had a problem with it, and then they were making issues out of it, and I'm like, bro, like, I'm totally chill on this. Like, if you want to do that, do that.
Yeah,
exactly. I've never been interested in that. But yes,
no, it's not for me.
Honestly, okay, like, I'm gonna be completely honest. I've had a time in my life where that's somewhat happened to me, but I highly, highly, highly suggest you never, ever, 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 ever do this. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's drama all day, every day. You know, if you bring that person to an event where their ex is, it's just mix up the whole time. Like, I'm not about that life.
No, it's not worth it. No. It's not worth it. It's not. And honestly, I'm the type of person that, like, I love being in a relationship and I love having that connection with someone, and I'm blessed to be in a relationship right now, and I'm very thankful for him. So I would say, like, if it didn't work out with your friend, most likely it won't work for you. So it's like,
Yeah.
You know, you're friends with that person for a reason. You guys think in a similar way. You guys act in a similar way. You guys like similar things. That's why you guys are friends. So if it didn't work for me, why would you think it's gonna work for you?
Exactly.
Honestly, I would equate it to nativity, like being naive, and ideal. I would say that's the deadliest combination that you can have as a young person, is being naive and being idealist, because honestly, you can have these assumptions, these ideas in your head. Most likely they're not going to happen. And that's just the reality of things. So it's like, yes, you grow from it, right? Like, and that's the hope, right? You grow from it and you be like, I didn't make the best decisions, but then, like, you know, you continue your life and you learn from it, and, you know, you forgive. There's like, I think it's just like, it's just not a good idea.
Yeah. Just keep it like separate, like over there. Keep
completely.
That over there.
I would just like skirt, like, no, that's fine. Let me get out of there. Get out of there. Okay, so question number 2. What are your thoughts on the general 3-month rule before having sex with someone you're dating?
Ooh. So that, like, when I was younger, that was definitely a rule.
Yeah.
I was like, no, not getting it. I think now, I don't really like to set rules on things. So, like, I like to just go with how the vibe is, what the energy is. Like, that's what I kind of tend to base things off of. So, yeah, the 3-month rule is not for me anymore.
Yeah, I would say the same. When I was younger, I wasn't so willing to sleep with people anyway. Like, it had to be a genuine connection. But now I think, you know, if I want to, I'm going to do it. That's how I feel at this point in my life. And also like the relationship and how it turns out afterwards doesn't necessarily matter if you have sex with them today or if you have sex with them 3 months from now. It's not going to change much. You know what I mean? Because if he was planning on leaving after he had sex with you, it doesn't change. It's not going to change after 6 months, 3 months,
6 months.
Exactly.
It's going to change.
I agree. Honestly, I feel like we're all grown adults, I would hope.
Yeah.
If you're a teenager, then talk to your parents or talk to your bigger sister or talk to your cousins, talk to someone.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're an adult, if you're over the age of 18, I feel like you have the discretion and the freedom to do whatever you want. Just be smart about it. You know what I mean? Like, just don't do things that you think maybe tomorrow you're going to regret. You know what I mean? Like, just do things with your head on your shoulders and just have like the pros and cons. Honestly, that's really helpful. Like, just weigh it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, weigh out your options and then go from there.
And be safe.
That's all.
This is it.
Definitely be safe.
Yes.
Be protected. You know, and if you are gonna be sleeping around with people willy-nilly, like, that's all good. Just be safe. You know, have something set up like birth control if you're you know, if you have those parts. You should definitely, you know, look into barrier methods or, you know, birth control, some type of birth control, so that you don't put yourself in a situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
also
just do.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. So go ahead, Tenika. Go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, I would say even if it's like someone that you just recently met, if that's your prerogative, go for it. But also just be very safe in terms of like PSA. We're in COVID times, so put some hand sanitizer on, wear a mask, put a condom on. Like, we don't need no diseases coming over here. You know what I'm saying? Just be safe. Know that things are transmittable, whether it's COVID, whether it's, you know, STDs, anything like this. Like, it's a real thing. And maybe we're not so, you know, exposed to it as they were in the 90s or the 80s with like AIDS and HIV, but it's still a thing. You know what I mean? Like, people I feel like don't really think about these things in the moment, but it's really important to know that things are transmittable. And if you can avoid these things from happening, I think it's really important to be proactive.
Exactly. It is. And you have to definitely like place a premium on your health. Like, I think that's something that like not a lot of people do anymore, because all these things are curable, but it's like, you still don't want to be sick and you still don't want to be infecting other people either. Like, that's really bad. And I think too, like, just knowing your status, because like a lot of people, they just are so irresponsible and just have sex with like random people unprotected, not knowing their status, passing things to people. And then you have people that do that maliciously, which is that's like a criminal act.
Exactly.
So, know your rights, know your status, and just be safe.
Yeah, for sure.
That is top of mine. And morning after pill is not birth control, guys.
It's definitely not.
I knew a girl that used to, she would whatever she's doing, and then the next day, oh, I gotta go get some morning after pill. And I'm like, that's not birth control, girl. And they say not to take it like birth control.
Yes, that's so dangerous. I want people to.
It's not right.
Really dangerous.
That's very bad on your reproductive health.
Yes, it is.
It's gonna make your uterus like Teflon. Nothing's gonna stick. Or you ain't never. It's gonna make it hard. But that's what they said. Like,
I'm dead.
It's true. I'm trying to get pregnant and.
Oh my God, Shenelle, Teflon. Oh my God.
No, she's ridiculous.
It's true. It's true.
Oh my
She
God.
always does this too. It's true.
It's true though.
I'm freaking dead.
Y'all have to back check that before you drop this.
Listen, guys.
That was great.
Shenelle, it's true.
Moral of the story. If you don't want to figure out if it's true or not, moral of the story, morning after pill is not birth control.
Hell yeah.
That's
a fact. It's true.
It's true.
Fact. All right. So next question. could you marry someone if the sex wasn't good?
Nah.
No.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, if we're dating and the sex isn't good, like, why didn't I tell you?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or why didn't I figure something out to fix it? I'm not gonna make it all the way to you proposing to me.
Absolutely
to be
not.
like,
Before
oh my
you
gosh,
let-
for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
No. Mm-mm.
No.
No. And that goes back to our earlier conversation. Like,
Yes.
disclosure, be transparent early.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it won't happen. And sex is
Otherwise,
like a big relationship.
it's gonna be a divorce in less than a year, girlfriend. You don't want that. You don't want no paperwork. You don't want no documents. Like, no.
And go through all of that uncoupling.
No.
Unconscious or otherwise.
No.
Right? It is not. No, that's not a thing that I could do. Just because it's like, why didn't I say anything? Like, and also, if I couldn't say nothing, why am I marrying this person if I couldn't be honest to tell them?
Exactly.
That this
you shouldn't be getting married.
I think it's also like, if you think it's not good, maybe it's like you guys are not compatible. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, maybe it's just not vibing. Like,
Right.
I think your significant other should give you everything excellent. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they should be an excellent partner. They should be an excellent listener. They should be an excellent lover. You know, like all of these things, they should be excellent in your life, right? And if he's not, or she's not, or they are not, like, I don't think it's. Maybe it's a sign that maybe you should think like, should we be together? Is this
woman?
You know, like, I think that's what Tenika was saying and what we were saying, Shenelle, is that we should just have clear communication, communicate, hey, I really like it like this. If you can't give it to me, sorry, but I don't know if this is gonna work, you know?
Like Tenika was saying, like, sex is a very important part of a relationship.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just as it like everything leads into it, like communication, honesty, transparency, you know, trust.
Yes.
All of that. Right. That
Yes.
all comes into like having a good sex life with your partner. If you can't communicate with them, or if you're not getting what you need from them in that way, most people, if the sex isn't good, they're trying to look elsewhere. It's
Absolutely.
other parts or other issues in the relationship as well. So
sex and money are like the two biggest reasons why people get divorced. So people are clearly not talking about it or fixing it.
Exactly. And that leads into my next question. Which do you think is worse, physical cheating or emotional cheating?
Ooh.
They're the same level.
I agree.
For me, because if you're cheating on me physically, I don't want you no more. And if you're cheating on me emotionally, I don't want you anymore, because like, why couldn't you share those things with me? You know?
Right.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, same. I feel like it's both of them are very heartbreaking. I won't even say like they're probably like seeing someone you know, cheating on you physically is very traumatizing, but at the same time, knowing that your significant other's heart is with someone else, like, do you know what I'm saying?
That
like,
would crush me more.
That is really heartbreaking as well. Like, and I feel like they're both at that, like what Shenelle was saying, they're both at that level where it's like both of them are extremely heartbreaking. Both of them are like, if you're doing this, then we shouldn't be together. Like that's just like, I think it's so terrible. I really do.
It is terrible.
Too. I think it's terrible. I think for me, emotional cheating would hurt me way more, just because it's like, I'm such an emotional person. But also it's like, we have this whole thing that we've built, and emotionally you have decided to step out on that. Like, you're more emotionally invested in somebody else. Like, that hurts. But also, like, I think over time, my views on cheating have kind of, I don't want to say I've become sympathetic to it, but I think because I'm older now, and like a lot of people I know have either cheated or been cheated on. I've been cheated on before. Like, I just kind of have been able to like put myself in those shoes in a sense. Like I've been able to empathize with it a little bit more. Right. So as to say, like,
can I just clarify? Are you saying you're empathizing with the cheater?
Yeah, with the cheater.
Oh, wow.
And I know. It's, trust me, it's saying a lot. It's saying a lot. But I just feel like in a relationship, yes, cheating is bad. But there's so much more to consider. So for example, like I remember when I was younger, I'd be like, yo, cheating's a definite deal breaker. Like I'm not staying around with a cheater. Like fuck that. But like now that I'm older and like I see even like my older friends that have like, they built their family, they have their house with their spouse, like, but that person's cheating on them. And like they know, and they're like, well, I'm not leaving. Like this is my family. Like I want this for myself. And I'm like, I can see now like what you're saying. And like, well, he's a really great father. Like I don't want to take that away from him. And I'm like, I get that. Like it's not just so like black and white. There's definitely like, gray areas. Whereas like, I feel like when I was younger, I definitely didn't think that. And I also feel like for some of these cheaters, like they're in certain situations. And again, it's not to like by any means like excuse what they're doing. They should definitely be open and transparent so that they don't get to the part where they're cheating. But I feel like for a lot of them, they just don't have that foundation where they're able to do that, sadly. And that stems back to the relationship not being really built on that trust. They're being built with those clear lines of communication. So,
you're saying they don't have the foundation to be honest with their partner? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, okay. I'm saying. Yeah. And you think like we just said earlier, like it's a no-brainer. Like you'd hope that when you're in a relationship, you can be open and transparent. But the reality of the situation is a lot of people don't have relationships like that.
Right.
Like every relationship, there's so many skeletons in people's relationships. And you're just like, wow, like this is not at all just, again, black and white. So that's how I'm saying. But overall, yes, the emotional cheating would hurt me a lot.
I want to mention something just in case any of our listeners are going through a situation like this. I feel like it's really important to have like a really good support system, whether that be your friends, whether that be your family, whether that be your therapist, like whether you go to like couples counseling, like just like something so that you can get to a point where you have mutual respect with each other, mutual trust with each other, mutual honesty, you know, like I just think it's really important because honestly, if you don't have trust with your partner, if you don't have honesty with your partner, like in the long run, you are going to get very hurt, whether you're the cheater or whether you're the person that is being cheated on. Like, I feel like it's going to amount to a lot of heartbreak. So I feel like it's really important to have a really good support system and talk to someone about it, because I'm sure there are ways to overcome these things, and there are ways. So I think it's really important to mention that.
It is. So having a support system helped me through those same situations.
Like, so to piggyback off of what you were saying, Tenika, I also don't think it's a deal breaker. It also depends on the situation. Like if we're both, you know, not in a good place and you cheat on me, then that just might be, you know, that might just show me like, okay, you know what, maybe this relationship isn't working. Maybe we should break up or take some time apart. But, you know, if it was a situation where it could be understandable, then yeah, like I may not think that it's such a big deal. Or in my case, emotional cheating is a lot for me. Like I feel like I would be so hurt by that more than the physical cheating. But the physical cheating is just like I don't want you no more. Like just physically,
you're tainted.
You know? Yeah, you're tainted now, right? So I feel like I could come back from that, but it would take a lot. It would take a lot. I would need time away. But again, everybody's different, but I don't think cheating is a deal breaker in a relationship, just because it's something you can grow from and learn from in both sides. Just because
some people sometimes,
yeah.
That's
because
like
a lot of people start relationships and they're broken. You know what I mean? So they don't know, or they're acting out of selfish needs because they're broken and they want to feel better. So, you know, sometimes people need to grow and work on if it's worth it to fix it and move on, or if, you know, we're just gonna end it and go.
And you have to also like remember, right? Like tying back to what I was saying about like empathizing kind of with cheaters, like some people, they don't really know how to show up for themselves, so it's impossible for them to show up for other people. So like, even though you're in a relationship and you'd expect your partner to like be fully in it with you, like they might not be at the place where they're able to meet you there, and you just didn't realize it until then.
Right.
Exactly.
Can I ask though, just to ask Shenelle what you mean, just for clarification, because like I'm sort of curious as to what you mean by in some circumstances where it could be permissible, like in terms of like you would understand where they're coming from. Like I just want to get where, like what would be permissible in that case. Like because for me, I feel like the moment that you have done something, once you've placed that thought into action, it's over for me. Like that's how I would feel. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the thought into action, it's done. But that's why I want to know what would be permissible for you. Like, what would you be like, oh, you know what? Like, I can forgive you for this.
Well, see, when I say like I can forgive, I would have to be like, we would have to work through it. We would have to go to like counseling and like really work on whatever it was that brought you to the point where you felt you needed to cheat on me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then if at that point, you know, we determine or we figure it out, and you know, I realize like you were coming from a place of hurt or some other issues that you were dealing with, or some other issues that you were dealing with, then that's understandable. If you just did it just to do it because you thought you knew I was gonna take you back regardless of what you do, no. And I'm not allowing it more than once. You cheat on me once, that's a learning experience. We're gonna learn together. You're not doing it again. Right. If you do it again, it's over. Right. That's how I feel about the situation. But that is fair. I definitely think it's not always grounds for separation. I think it's a teachable moment for both people in the relationship, because a lot of times people cheat because there's something lacking in the relationship. It's not always about the sex. Right. It could just be something.
Also have some people that are just greedy. Like let's not discount those people. Some people just love sex. They don't care where they get it from, 100%. How they get it, like who they hurt. They're just greedy.
Totally.
Some people are just greedy. They want everything, and they want to eat all of that too. They want to keep their plate and eat on someone else's plate too. They don't care. Those people you can tell, like that's how they are. You know what I mean?
Not always.
They're like not willing.
Not always.
Not always. Some of them are good manipulators.
Yes. Some of them have
family.
Some of them are family men. Some of them are family. What do you know what I mean? Sometimes they're like very, very, very good at covering their tracks, right? Yeah, exactly.
So it's really good liars, like,
and you're just like, you're dangerous. But I also like think it's like a bigger conversation of like our society and like as humans, like we presume that we're monogamous beings, right? Like you're the goal in life, like get married, have kids, whatever. Obviously we've seen like over time that's not necessarily like everyone's structure. That's not the framework for everybody. You're seeing more and more polyamorous relationships. And it's just like, I think that too is something that needs to be discussed early on. Like, how do you feel about cheating? Like, is cheating a deal breaker? This and that. Like, just setting those boundaries too. And like, are you sure you're a monogamous person? Like, if you're not, do you need an open relationship? Like just seeing what that framework is for each other. Because I think that those discussions don't happen enough either.
I agree with you 100%, Tenika. That is so important. Like knowing exactly what each other wants out of the relationship, what each other respects out of the relationship. Like, and then God forbid if you have that conversation and then they do the opposite.
Exactly. You know? Like this is what you said on this date. You told me this.
On this date at this time, I got it all. All right, I got all of it.
No, it's absolutely like you need to. You need to.
I agree.
It's true. So, this isn't a question on the card, but how do you guys feel about open relationships or polyamorous relationships?
I think as long as it works for you and everybody is like aware of that, then it's fine. Because like I know people that say that they're poly, but all of their partners don't know that there are other partners. So like that's not full poly. Everybody's supposed to be aware. Not just like you and a couple of your partners. So like if everybody's on the same page, perfect. Like, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Do whatever works for you. But again, it's that open and transparency. Like, as long as you're being open and transparent and everybody consents to that, then I don't see any harm in it.
I agree. I agree 100%. If you have, it's sort of like a sexual orientation, technically, like in terms of like you prefer one thing over the other, and that's completely okay. It's just what Tenika was saying, as long as everyone is understanding and everyone is aware and everyone consents to this, then go for it. But if people are not aware and you're doing this behind their back, then you should reconsider being with these people, because you might be it could be really damaging to the other party, right? Because they believe in monogamy, and if they're with someone that doesn't, that could be extremely damaging.
Exactly.
How about you, Shenelle?
I'm good with that. You got, everybody can do what they want to do, but me, no, I can't. I don't see myself in that kind of relationship, because I'm very what's mine is mine. You know what I mean?
Oh, same.
If I wanted what everybody else had, I would have what everybody else has. You know
yes.
what I mean? So I don't think I could do, like, personally, I don't think I could do it. But, and if I knew someone who was in a polyamorous relationship, I have so much questions. Like, so when do you decide, who you're going to be with tonight? Like, do they join in? Like, is it a 3-way every time? And, like, do they, like, am I allowed to, or are you allowed to be jealous if, like, you're seeing this other person? Like, I feel like there's so much gray area and so much unknown about it, just because there's so many different variations of what is going on. And, like, do they live there? Y'all live in a house?
Well, some of them do, yeah. Like, I know a guy, both of his partners live with him.
Oh.
And then they have their own relationships. Like, they're not in a relationship, all three of them.
Oh, they're not. Oh,
no,
that's
like, he's like he's the main guy. And
he's the icing in the Oreo.
And then the other two guys, they have their own separate relationships with him, but they're both aware of each other, and they get along and they do everything together. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's this she's I think, I can't remember, she's an influencer, and she is married and she has a boyfriend. And I think they live together. I think her name is Fashion Jones, and I was like, what, girl? Like, and, like, they take pictures, like, group pictures. I'm like, girl, yes, have your husband and your boyfriend. But, like, I'm also like, my boyfriend would die. Like, he would fall. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm always so, like, curious and, like, intrigued by those kinds of relationships, just because it's so unconventional, and a lot of people don't know about it and don't understand it, so that it's always considered taboo.
Totally.
No different strokes for different folks.
No, I think as long as you're happy and, again, everybody's aware.
Although I want to just do a disclaimer. I'm monogamous, so I wouldn't do it per se, but I completely agree with Tenika in terms of, like, if that's what you want, then go for it. But I also agree with what Shenelle was saying in terms of, like, it's so hard because monogamy is so ingrained into our society in terms of, like, the expectations of being monogamous. And I feel like anyone that is polyamorous at the moment, I feel like is I don't want to say, like, at a disadvantage, but sort of, like, has a little bit of a tougher time, like, going through society and knowing what the rules are and, like, what's acceptable and all of these things, right? So I think it's really important to set some boundaries and set some rules with your partners, just so that, like, no one gets hurt. I feel like for me, looking at a polyamorous relationship, like, I can see how there can be a lot of hurt, to be honest. Like, I would say, like, if I was one of those partners, I would be extremely hurt and extremely jealous, and, like, just be like,
this every day, every single day of my life.
Exactly. I would be like, I don't know, like, what is it that I can't give you? I would those are the questions that I would
That's
ask
what it feels like for me too.
Right. Absolutely. And I think it's that's why it's only fair that everyone consents to something like that, because I can see where there can be a lot of hurt. Totally.
Yeah. And I think that it just comes down to like knowing yourself, right?
Right.
Like, you have to know, like, like Shenelle was saying, like, she's like, it's not for me. Like, it's just not, like, I know I'd be possessive, not possessive, but like what's for me is for me, and I want that for myself. So you just have to really know yourself. I think a lot of times people set themselves up for like different things. They're like, oh, let me try something new. Not really paying attention to what's for them.
Right.
So as long as you're staying true to yourself, then you should be fine to not get hurt if you know yourself and you're that type of person. Like you said, you know yourself, you'd probably get hurt. It wouldn't be for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have time for one more question. This one is quite interesting as well. So, how long would you wait for someone you're dating to commit to you?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question.
Yeah. Because, like, what's the timeline? You know, what's the
timeline? That situation not too long ago, like earlier this year / like ending of last year. I was talking to somebody for a bit, and I was just like, yeah, like, so where's this even like going? And he couldn't tell me. So like his like not knowing was a no for me. Yeah. Like, if you don't know, then it's a no. So I feel like for me, once we're like spending enough time together and like we have that conversation, there should be either an answer on yes or no. Yeah. Like, I don't really know if there's like a necessary timeline. It's more of a feeling. Yeah.
Or like even when you have that conversation, even if you're not 100% sure, just be like, you know, you could always be honest. Like, I like where things are going. You know, I'm not 100% sure what we are at this moment, but I do like spending my time with you. I do like seeing you. Just letting them know, like, you have plans to, like, you're interested in pursuing something.
Exactly, that intention. But you have some people, though, that will be like, I like what this is right now. And then, like, you're there and you're like, oh, like, this is great, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, are we progressing? Are we going to like become something? Or are we just going to stay status quo? Because I don't want status quo. So I think it's like, to your point, having that conversation and being very upfront about what your intentions are, I think that helps to move things along. Because then if you have like, let's say, again, I don't care about timelines, but like, let's say you have like a 3-month check-in and you're like, oh, I like where things are going. Like, I definitely see myself with you in the future. Okay, like, that's giving you hope that there's going to be something that you want. You want that, right? Then 6 months down the line, okay, like, so how is it going? I like how things are right now. That's not giving me nothing. Like, there's no hope here.
Exactly.
So now you just know, like, either you're wasting your time or you need to like let me know, like, are we going to be something or not? Because there's other people.
Right.
I agree 100%. I feel like it's so important. What Tenika was saying earlier is knowing yourself, right? Before you enter into a relationship with another person, I think it's so important to know what you want from it. Like, if you are at a point in your life where you're just like, I don't want any commitment, I'm just loving my life and I just want to be with people. If that's your prerogative, go for it, right? But I feel like you need to know that of yourself. And then you can set the precedent with another person and be like, hey, this is where I'm coming from. How about you? You know what
exactly.
I mean? And then if at the beginning of when you're talking to this person, you're like, you know what? Like, what I want is a relationship. I'm not sure if this is the person to be in a relationship with, but I'm willing to see what it's like. Then maybe just say, you know, I'm more of a serious person. I sort of see myself having a relationship. Is this something that you want? Right. Exactly. And just setting the precedent from the very beginning, I think that will save a lot of time.
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of unnecessary arguments and a lot of assumptions, because I don't like assuming nothing, especially like in a relationship, because I don't want to feel like betrayed if I don't have to. If we're just dating and we're seeing how things go, okay, I'm gonna date too. I'm gonna see other people too, and you can be mad, and at least I'll know, right? Exactly. At least I'll know that, okay, he's gonna be dating other people. So I can't really be upset because I'm also dating other people. But if you don't tell me, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Exactly.
Or I'm going to feel like I'm obligated to stay with you because I feel you haven't given me a clear indication of what it is that you're doing. And I think a lot of people always kind of shy away from telling people what their actual intentions are because they like this person, but they're also wanting to see what's still out there. So they don't want to tie themselves down. And that, I think, is very harmful in situations like this, just because, you know, a lot of women or a lot of people want to be in relationships and are actually trying and doing the necessary things to set themselves up to be in a good long-term relationship. And if they're not sure what the other person is doing, you know, they feel like they've wasted their time, and rightfully so, right?
And again, like, even to that point, it comes back to you as well, like as a person, as knowing yourself. Like if you're there asking these questions and you're not getting clear, concrete answers, and you're feeling like instinctively that this is probably not where you need to be, then you need to trust that you are able to make the right decision and best decision for yourself, and that your instincts are not lying to you. Because like, as women especially, like, we are so intuitive. Like a lot of the times we just be knowing things and we just be like second guessing it for no reason. Like, oh, I can't like trust myself. Like, no, trust yourself. It's not for you. It's not for you. You're gonna get that feeling. Trust it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to not only trust yourself, but like I know that this is like an ideal world, but just like, I think the point of just communicating and just telling, like knowing what you want and just saying it, because even if the other person doesn't, at least you'll know you've done your part, you know, like at least you've done your due diligence and like telling them. And then if after whatever their answer is, right, can be an indication and can go based off of your intuition and be like, I don't know about this, or perfect, I'm on the same page. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and then we can go from there. But I think you're completely right, Tenika, in terms of like trusting your instincts. If something is off, if there are red flags, take it in. Like, know what you're seeing. See what you want out of it, right?
Exactly.
And don't be asking God for all these signs and ignoring them, because they be coming. They be coming.
Like, oh God, please give me a sign, and then the sign is like
there,
dead in your face,
returning your calls,
death in your face.
Yes,
you know? And you're like,
still trying to make it work.
Yeah. Like, oh, you know, that's not a sign, God. That was you just playing with me.
You got a full red light.
Right? You got a whole, like, the biggest, reddest flag of all time is right here. And you're like, oh, well, let's move this flag out of the way.
I didn't see that.
You know, like, what is this doing here?
Yep.
You know?
right.
And I think a lot of times as women, because there's this thing that everyone's like, oh, a good man is so hard to find. No, it's not that they're hard to find. It's more that, like, a lot of men aren't wanting to commit, and we keep feeling like, oh, we're gonna just make it work. We gonna make it work. He wants this, but he doesn't know yet, so we're just gonna make it work. That's why these situations happen.
And it's so toxic doing that. So toxic.
You forcing somebody into a relationship that they didn't tell you that they wanted it or not.
Like, right.
Yep.
Come on.
No, not good. You were told. You had.
Exactly. And there's also, like, a lot of times, like, well, I've been seeing online, like, guys would be like, oh, no, I told you we're not together, you know, I told you this is what it is. And the girl's like, oh, no, that's not me. It's like,
and it's like, no.
Like, let's not do this to ourselves. We don't deserve that.
Yeah, you can save yourself a lot of heartache and pain by just, like, taking what it is for what it is.
Exactly. Like, sometimes people don't tell you. They may not tell you, but they
show you.
They be showing you. So if they're showing you, take that for what it is and leave.
Yep.
And if they sending you texts a couple months later, like, hey, what happened? Like, well, you know what happened. You were showing me who you were.
And I chose to believe you.
Exactly. And I believed you, and I went by my business.
Yep.
Yeah. Actions speak louder than words.
Always.
Always. All right. So we're at the end of our show. We just want to take the time and thank you for coming to chat with us today, Tenika. Tell the people where they can find you and your wonderful content.
Yes.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you guys. This was a great conversation. Had a lot of fun. Y'all can follow me at Unattached and Unbothered on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and you can also find me on Instagram. I was going to say you can find me on Unattached and Unbothered. You can find me on Instagram at Unattached and Unbothered and at unattachedandunbothered.com.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime, ladies.
Yes. So be cute, be you, and stay blended.
Stay blended.
Bye.